Norway, a country often associated with peace, prosperity, and fjords, has emerged as a critical player in the global energy sector. Its ascension comes at the expense of Russia, whose economy, long dependent on oil and gas revenues, has been dealt a staggering blow. With losses amounting to approximately $75 billion in just 2 years, Russia's dominance in the European energy market has been supplanted by Norway, now a leading supplier of natural gas to Europe. How did this transformation occur, and what does it mean for the geopolitical and economic landscape? To understand this seismic shift, we must delve into the key events, strategies, and resources that propelled Norway to the forefront while crippling Russia's economic foundations. February 2022 marked a critical juncture in global geopolitics. Russia's invasion of Ukraine prompted a swift and unified response from the West, which imposed sweeping sanctions on Moscow. Among the most significant measures was the embargo on Russian oil and gas imports, a move designed to choke off the Kremlin's primary source of revenue. European leaders declared their intent to end reliance on Russian fossil fuels, triggering a reorganization of the continent's energy infrastructure. This dramatic shift left a void in the European market that Norway was uniquely positioned to fill. As the European Union scrambled to diversify its energy sources, Norway's abundant reserves of oil and natural gas became indispensable. The Scandinavian nation, long known for its environmental stewardship and energy efficiency, found itself at the center of a new energy order. Norway's ascent as an energy powerhouse is rooted in its geography and resource wealth. The Barents Sea, shared with Russia, holds a treasure trove of oil and natural gas. Estimates suggest that this region contains 2/3 of Norway's remaining reserves, making it a cornerstone of the country's energy strategy. Beyond the Barents, Norway has leveraged resources from the North Sea and the Norwegian Sea, which host dozens of active oil and gas fields. In wartime 2022, Norway had 93 operational fields, with 70 in the North Sea, 21 in the Norwegian Sea, and 2 in the Barents Sea. That year, oil and gas accounted for 73% of Norway's total commodity exports, underscoring the sector's importance to the nation's economy. Norway's natural gas sales reached a record 124 billion standard cubic meters, cementing its status as Europe's largest supplier and displacing Russia's once dominant position. The geopolitical crisis in Ukraine turned Norway's energy sector into an economic juggernaut. In 2022, the country's oil and gas revenues tripled, generating a staggering $140 billion in a single year. Much of this wealth flowed into government coffers, as the Norwegian state owns a 67% stake in Equinor, the country's energy giant. This financial windfall not only strengthened Norway's economy, but also provided it with the resources to invest in future energy projects and infrastructure. Norway's newfound wealth starkly contrasts with Russia's declining fortunes. Once the primary energy supplier to Europe, Russia has seen its revenues from fossil fuel exports plummet. In 2023, Russian oil and gas exports amounted to just $30 billion, a sharp decline from previous years. By 2024, the situation worsened, with revenues falling an additional 24%, highlighting the effectiveness of Western sanctions and Europe's diversification efforts. For decades, Russia's economy has been heavily reliant on fossil fuel exports, particularly natural gas. The Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, which directly connected Russia to Germany, symbolize this dependence. Germany, Europe's largest energy consumer, used Russian gas for electricity generation, heavy industry, and home heating. Italy, another major market, also relied on Russian energy, while France, though less dependent due to its nuclear infrastructure, supported sanctions against Moscow. The EU's decision to embargo Russian oil and gas marked the end of this era. By mid-2022, Russian supplies to Europe were severely curtailed. The sixth package of sanctions, implemented in June 2022, included a ban on Russian oil imports, with member states pledging to end their reliance on Russian gas within the next decade. This shift has been catastrophic for Russia, which lacks alternative markets capable of matching Europe's demand and purchasing power. Norway's rise has not only undermined Russia's economic power, but also reshaped Europe's energy landscape. The Scandinavian nation now supplies approximately 1/3 of Europe's natural gas, becoming a linchpin in the continent's energy security. As European nations seek alternatives to Russian energy, Norway has emerged as a reliable partner, capable of meeting their needs while adhering to environmental standards and transparency. Germany, Italy, and other former consumers of Russian gas are now looking to Norway, along with suppliers in the United States, the Middle East, and North Africa. This diversification strategy not only reduces Europe's dependence on any single supplier, but also insulates it from geopolitical shocks, such as those caused by Russia's aggression. The shift in Europe's energy sources has profound implications for global geopolitics. Norway's emergence as an energy giant highlights the vulnerabilities of economies overly reliant on fossil fuels. For Russia, the loss of its energy dominance is more than an economic setback. It is a strategic blow that diminishes its leverage on the world stage. Meanwhile, Norway's success demonstrates the potential for smaller nations to play outsized roles in global affairs. By capitalizing on its natural resources and adopting forward-looking policies, Norway has positioned itself as a key player in the new energy order. Its ability to fill the void left by Russia underscores the importance of resilience and adaptability in an increasingly interconnected world. The energy crisis triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine has reshaped the global landscape, with Norway emerging as a clear beneficiary. While the Kremlin faces economic decline and dwindling influence, Norway's strategic management of its resources has propelled it to the forefront of Europe's energy supply chain. This transformation underscores the interconnectedness of geopolitics and energy, illustrating how shifts in one region can ripple across the globe. For Russia, the lesson is stark. Reliance on fossil fuels as the backbone of an economy leaves it vulnerable to external shocks and changing market dynamics. For Norway, the future looks bright, with its energy sector serving as both a foundation of economic strength and a pillar of regional stability. As Europe continues to diversify its energy sources, Norway's role will remain critical in shaping the continent's path toward energy independence and security. Norway, a nation often admired for its prosperity and peaceful diplomacy, has emerged as an unexpected giant in the geopolitical theater of energy. As the European Union severed its reliance on Russian oil and gas, Norway stepped into the breach, reshaping Europe's energy market and delivering a crippling blow to Russia's economic power. With losses from Moscow estimated at $75 billion over just 2 years, Norway's role in the current geopolitical crisis underscores both its energy prowess and the broader implications of resource geopolitics in the post-Ukraine invasion world. Russia's dominance in the European energy market was once unquestioned. State-controlled giants like Gazprom and Rosneft played pivotal roles in fueling Europe, with Gazprom supplying 35% of the continent's natural gas before the Ukraine war. This dominance, however, was fundamentally dependent on Europe's continued demand for Russian hydrocarbons. The invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 triggered a seismic shift. Western nations, led by the European Union, imposed sweeping sanctions on Russian energy exports, cutting off one of the Kremlin's primary revenue streams. Oil and gas pipelines, such as the highly contentious Nord Stream 1 and 2, which directly connected Russian energy to Germany, became liabilities instead of assets. Europe's largest energy consumer, Germany, pivoted toward alternative suppliers, including Norway, the United States, and the Middle East. Other major markets, such as Italy, began diversifying their energy sources by turning to North Africa and renewable energy projects. The result was a catastrophic economic downturn for Russia's energy sector. In 2023, Russian oil and gas exports fell to just $30 billion, one-third of their value from the previous year. By 2024, revenues dropped another 24%, highlighting the long-term impact of Western sanctions and Europe's shift away from Russian resources. As Russia's market share crumbled, Norway emerged as Europe's most critical energy partner. With the world's 22nd largest oil reserves and 17th largest natural gas reserves, Norway's resource wealth became essential to Europe's energy security. The Scandinavian nation now supplies 30% of the European Union's gas, a figure that dwarfs Russia's dwindling contributions. In 2023, Norway set a record for gas production, reaching 379 million cubic meters per day in December alone. Over the same period, Norway exported 1.85 million barrels of oil per day to Europe, making it the largest supplier to Germany and the second largest supplier to the EU overall, trailing only the United States. Norwegian hydrocarbons have not only filled the gap left by Russian sanctions, but have also provided stability in a volatile energy market. Oil prices surged to over $100 per barrel in 2022, a historically high level that persisted with prices averaging above $80 per barrel in subsequent years. Benchmark European gas prices spiked to €170 per megawatt hour, nearly 10 times the pre-crisis average, before stabilizing at €20 to 40, still double the typical rate before the war. Norway's energy exports have generated a staggering economic windfall. In 2022, the country's oil and gas revenues reached $140 billion, a figure that tripled from previous years. This boom has significantly bolstered Norway's sovereign wealth fund, the largest in the world, with assets totaling $1.7 trillion. Managed prudently, the fund directs all government revenues from oil and gas into long-term investments, ensuring financial stability for future generations. A maximum of 3% of the fund's value can be withdrawn annually to support the government budget, a rule that minimizes inflationary pressures and protects the fund's longevity. While Norway's economic success has brought stability to Europe, it has also sparked debates about its global responsibilities, particularly in relation to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Despite its financial windfall, Norway has faced criticism for its relatively modest contributions to Ukraine's defense and reconstruction. In its 2025 budget, Norway allocated only $3.1 billion to support Ukraine, bringing its total contributions over 2 years to less than 5% of its war-driven energy revenues. By comparison, Germany provided $16.3 billion in military, financial, and humanitarian aid from January 2022 to October 2024, while the United States committed an unparalleled $92 billion. As a share of GDP, Norway's support for Ukraine ranks ninth in Europe at 0.7%, trailing behind smaller nations like Denmark and Estonia. Critics argue that Norway has both the capacity and moral obligation to contribute more, given that its energy revenues are a direct result of the war's geopolitical dynamics. This reluctance has raised questions about Norway's long-term strategic priorities. With a shared border with Russia and a reliance on NATO for defense, Norway's national security is intrinsically linked to the outcome of the Ukraine conflict. A weakened or emboldened Russia poses a direct threat to regional stability, making Norway's cautious approach to supporting Ukraine appear short-sighted. Norway's accumulation of war profits is not without precedent, but it is the first time the government has provided an official estimate of the windfall derived from higher gas prices. According to the Ministry of Finance, Norway's natural gas export revenues exceed what would have been generated under pre-war price averages. However, this estimate does not account for the additional surplus from elevated oil prices, meaning the actual figure is likely far higher. From a macroeconomic perspective, there are few barriers to increasing aid to Ukraine. Transferring a portion of Norway's war profits to Ukraine would not disrupt domestic economic stability, as the funds would remain outside the Norwegian economy. Such an initiative could serve as both a moral statement and a strategic investment in European security. Norway's energy boom has reshaped Europe's energy landscape and dealt a significant blow to Russia's economic power. As the largest supplier of natural gas to the EU, Norway has become indispensable to Europe's efforts to achieve energy independence and security. However, with great wealth comes great responsibility. Norway's cautious approach to supporting Ukraine, despite its unprecedented financial gains, has sparked a broader debate about the ethical implications of profiting from war. As Europe navigates the challenges of energy transition and geopolitical instability, Norway's actions will be closely scrutinized. Its ability to balance domestic prosperity with global responsibility will define its legacy in the 21st century. For now, Norway stands as a testament to the power of resource management and the pivotal role of energy in shaping the geopolitical order. In the geopolitical turmoil sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Norway has emerged as a vital player. Its support for Ukraine extends beyond rhetoric, encompassing military aid, humanitarian assistance, and even economic reconstruction. However, as Europe grapples with energy security and strategic independence, questions arise about whether Norway is doing enough to secure Ukraine's victory and safeguard its own region against further Russian aggression. Norway's contributions are significant, yet the stakes demand a broader commitment, one that aligns with its economic windfall and geopolitical standing. Norway's support for Ukraine has been multifaceted, reflecting its commitment to the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity. On the military front, Norway has provided a substantial array of advanced weaponry and equipment. This includes 8 Leopard 2A4 tanks, 2 NASAMS missile defense systems, 1,000 Black Hornet reconnaissance drones, Dingo armored vehicles equipped with Cortex Tyron counter-UAS systems, 100 Mistral air defense missiles, 4,000 anti-tank weapons, and extensive protective gear such as helmets and bulletproof vests. Norway has also addressed Ukraine's critical energy needs, particularly as winter looms. In October, the Oslo government pledged 3 billion Norwegian kroner, approximately $274 million, to support Ukraine's energy sector. ensuring that over 1.5 million Ukrainians would have heating and electricity during the harsh winter months. Funds have been allocated to rebuild power plants in regions such as Dnipro, Odessa, Kyiv, Zaporizhzhia, and Lviv, with the latest equipment deliveries adding 80 megawatts of capacity to Ukraine's national grid. These initiatives demonstrate Norway's dual commitment to both military and civilian aid, providing critical support to Ukraine's war effort while also helping to stabilize daily life for its citizens. Norway's long-term strategy for supporting Ukraine is encapsulated in the Nansen program, a comprehensive initiative designed to provide both military and civilian assistance. Initially budgeted at 75 billion Norwegian kroner, the program has been expanded to 135 billion kroner, approximately $13 billion, through 2030. Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre announced that annual support would increase to 15 billion Norwegian kroner, $1.4 billion, reflecting a significant escalation in Norway's commitment. Between 2023 and 2027, Norway has already allocated 6.4 billion euros to Ukraine under this program, focusing on defense aid, infrastructure rebuilding, and humanitarian relief. In addition, the Oslo government is investing 967 million Norwegian kroner, $89.9 million, to boost national defense industrial production, including advanced technology exports to Ukraine. Key projects include developing rocket engines, hexamine for explosives, and a feasibility study for a new explosives production facility. This dual-track approach seeks not only to support Ukraine, but also to strengthen Norway's domestic defense sector. Despite these efforts, critics argue that Norway's contributions fall short of its potential, especially given the extraordinary profits it has reaped from the energy crisis triggered by the war. Norway's sovereign wealth fund, the largest in the world at $1.7 trillion, has benefited significantly from soaring oil and gas prices. In 2022 alone, Norway's energy revenues exceeded $140 billion, a threefold increase from previous years. Yet, its support for Ukraine as a share of GDP ranks only 9th in Europe, at 0.7%, far behind nations like Denmark and Estonia. While Norway's Nansen program is ambitious, critics point out that its contributions represent less than 5% of its war-driven surplus revenues. Comparatively, Germany has provided $16.3 billion in military and humanitarian aid, while the United States has committed a staggering $92 billion. Given Norway's economic windfall, many argue that it has a moral obligation to do more, particularly as its energy revenues are directly tied to the geopolitical instability caused by Russia's aggression. Norway's proximity to Russia and its reliance on NATO allies for defense amplify its stake in Ukraine's success. A victory for Russia would embolden Moscow, potentially destabilizing the Nordic and Baltic regions. To this end, Norway must view its support for Ukraine not merely as an act of solidarity, but as a strategic necessity. The Oslo government's cautious approach to its sovereign wealth fund, while commendable for its long-term focus, may need to adapt to the exigencies of wartime demands. Transfers of surplus revenues to Ukraine would not affect Norway's domestic economy, as these funds would bypass domestic circulation, avoiding inflationary pressures. This pragmatic approach could strengthen Europe's collective defense and underscore Norway's leadership in the region. Norway's actions resonate with broader European efforts to achieve energy independence from Russia. The Baltic states, particularly Lithuania, provide a compelling example of resilience. Before 2014, the Baltic region was an isolated energy island, heavily dependent on Russian imports and vulnerable to political blackmail. Lithuania's decision to construct a liquefied natural gas (LNG) terminal in Klaipėda marked a turning point. Despite intense pressure from Moscow, Lithuania successfully implemented the project, expelled Gazprom from its energy sector, and liberalized its gas market. By April 2022, Lithuania became the first European country to completely ban Russian gas imports, including LNG. Latvia and Estonia followed suit, relying on well-established LNG partnerships with suppliers such as the United States and Norway. This transition not only enhanced regional energy security, but also served as a blueprint for broader European efforts to reduce dependence on Russian energy. Norway's rise as Europe's primary energy supplier underscores a broader geopolitical shift. As Russia's economic and political influence wanes, nations like Norway and Lithuania are demonstrating the power of strategic planning and resilience. Norway's contributions to Ukraine, while significant, reflect only a fraction of its potential. By aligning its economic resources with its strategic interests, Norway could play an even greater role in shaping the outcome of the conflict and ensuring regional stability. At the same time, Europe's transition away from Russian energy highlights the importance of collective action. The Baltic states, once reliant on Moscow, now stand as examples of how smaller nations can achieve energy independence through innovation and determination. Norway's contributions to Ukraine and Europe's energy security have been substantial, but the stakes demand more. As a nation with immense economic resources and a strategic position in the Nordic-Baltic region, Norway has both the capacity and the obligation to lead. By increasing its support for Ukraine and leveraging its energy dominance, Norway can help shape a future defined by resilience, cooperation, and peace. For Norway, this is not just a matter of generosity. It is a strategic imperative. The outcome of the war in Ukraine will have profound implications for the security of Europe and the stability of the international order. Norway's actions today will define its legacy for decades to come. The Baltic states have long been on the front lines of Europe's struggle for energy security, balancing regional vulnerabilities with an ambitious push for independence from Russian energy dominance. By leveraging infrastructure improvements and forging transatlantic partnerships, nations like Lithuania have transformed from energy dependence to energy resilience, setting a precedent for how smaller countries can navigate the shifting dynamics of energy geopolitics. This transformation not only underscores the importance of energy independence in bolstering national security, but also illustrates the role of integrated European cooperation in countering external destabilization efforts. With projects like Lithuania's Independence Liquefied Natural Gas (LNG) terminal and the gas interconnector Poland-Lithuania GIPL pipeline, the Baltic region is shaping a new energy paradigm that aligns with broader geopolitical goals. Since becoming a top European importer of United States liquefied natural gas (LNG) in 2017, Lithuania has steadily increased its reliance on U.S. energy supplies. This partnership peaked in 2022, with the United States becoming Lithuania's primary LNG supplier. This shift sent a powerful message to Moscow. Transatlantic cooperation is not only a viable alternative to Russian energy, but a strategic response to its aggression and destabilizing policies. In the first half of 2024, Lithuania's LNG imports were nearly evenly split between the United States and Norway, highlighting the diversification of its energy sources. Central to this transformation is Lithuania's aptly named Independence LNG terminal, which serves as both a symbolic and functional bulwark against energy coercion. Beyond symbolism, the terminal is a key node in the Baltic states' growing energy infrastructure, which is designed to ensure long-term security and stability. Lithuania's energy revolution extends beyond its LNG terminal. The completion of the Latvia-Lithuania interconnection project has enhanced regional energy security by granting Lithuania access to the Inčukalns underground gas storage facility in Latvia. This unique resource enables the Baltic states to stockpile natural gas during low-demand summer months, safeguarding against winter price spikes and potential supply disruptions. Equally critical is the bidirectional GIPL pipeline, operational since May 2022, which links the Baltic region to continental Europe. This north-south corridor not only diversifies gas import routes, but also establishes Lithuania as a strategic entry point for LNG into the European market. Recent agreements, such as the partnership between Slovakia and Poland to utilize U.S.-sourced LNG via Klaipėda, underscore the evolving energy landscape. By January 2025, Slovakia will use this northern route for gas imports, bypassing traditional east-west connections through Russia and Ukraine, a significant milestone as the Russia-Ukraine gas transit contract nears its expiration. While the Baltic states have made impressive strides in gas independence, their electricity sectors have remained tethered to Russia. This dependency is set to end in February 2025, when Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia disconnect from the Brel electricity ring, a Soviet-era network that integrates their grids with Belarus and Russia. This disconnection will culminate a decade of preparation and synchronize the Baltic grids with the continental European network. To achieve this, the Baltic states have established multiple power interconnectors with Finland, Sweden, and Poland, both onshore and offshore. These projects ensure that the region can fully sever ties with Russia and Belarus, eliminating a significant vulnerability while integrating more deeply into Europe's energy system. The Baltic region's energy transformation carries implications far beyond its borders. By reducing reliance on Russian energy, these nations are fortifying Europe's collective security architecture. The North-South Energy Corridor, anchored by projects like GIPL and the Klaipėda LNG terminal, exemplifies how regional infrastructure can support continental energy resilience. At the same time, these developments align with a broader transatlantic commitment to shared political, economic, and security objectives. The United States' role as a key LNG supplier underscores the importance of transatlantic partnerships in countering Russian influence. Similarly, Norway's growing role in the European energy market reflects the region's collective shift toward sustainable and secure energy solutions. The Baltic states' journey from energy dependency to resilience offers a blueprint for other regions grappling with external energy threats. Lithuania's forward-looking investments in LNG, gas storage, and electricity interconnections have positioned the Baltic region as a leader in Europe's energy transition. These efforts not only enhance regional security, but also contribute to a broader geoeconomic strategy aimed at countering Russian aggression and ensuring the stability of Europe's energy supply. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, the Baltic states stand as a testament to the power of strategic planning and international cooperation. By embracing energy independence, they are not only safeguarding their sovereignty, but also shaping the future of Europe's energy security.